So one of the things we're concerned about as we squat is maintaining a good spine position. We call it a neutral spine, but basically our spine has three natural curves to it. We've got a slight inward curve if you're looking from the side. We've got a slight inward curve to our low back, okay? We've got an outward curve at our upper back and an inward curve at our neck. So those are kind of the neutral spine position. If we can maintain those neutral curves, those natural curves to our spine, we know we're going to be in a fairly safe position. This is important as we squat, not just with our body weight, but especially as we start to load ourselves with a barbell or something like that, okay? So when we set up our stance in our squat and we start to descend, I want to try to maintain good neutral spine. So if I'm down here, I should still feel a slight inward curve at my low back, okay? Now some people can go into hyperextension. We don't want that. You might see their ribs poking out from the front if they're going into hyperextension. And some people will be really hard to get any inward curve at all, and you might have to cue them to kind of push their hips back a little bit to get any type of inward curve. But we'd like to see a slight inward curve on most people while they're squatting, and stay away from those extreme ranges of motion, whether it's completely rounding your low back or whether it's really going into hyperextension. So I'll kind of demonstrate a little bit of each, okay? So a nice neutral spine is as I go down, I maintain my neutral spine. I have a slight inward curve as I go down into my depth, again. And as I push my knees out a little bit further, that might help me maintain neutral spine the deeper I get. If my knees come in, okay, or I get off there, it's easy to go into a rounded position or completely reverse that inward curve. So we want to avoid, as we go down, we don't want people squatting down here where they're actually reverse the curve completely. It's not inward anymore, it's actually an outward curve. We don't think this is a very efficient way to move or a safe way to move even, okay? The other end of the spectrum is that hyperextension. So if we see ribs really poking out, and I'm not even mobile enough to really do it, but some people are, they may have their ribs really sticking out, their back is extremely arched, and that is also a potentially dangerous position, especially as you're learning just the basics of squatting. So again, we want from the side a slight inward curve at our low back, and we want to squat to the depth that we can maintain that, okay? So I'm going to try my best to go as low as possible. That's probably about as far as I can go. If I go further, I start to round, and if I go really deep, I completely lose that, okay? And that's something I need to work on so I can get deeper and maintain a neutral spine. So again, we want to maintain a slight inward curve back here. We don't want it exaggerated, and we definitely don't want it reversed as we go down into this position, okay? Combating that is easy to do by initiating the movement by sending our hips back first. So if I send my hips back, it kind of helps me keep my spine in neutral position as I go down. If I use a knee strategy where I bend my knees first, it can often tuck my tail under, and then I go into a rounded position. I'm just not very strong, and we've got that complete reversed position, okay? So really important as we use the SquatGuide or any squatting that we initiate that movement by sending our hips back first and going down and trying to maintain neutral spine position when you're looking at someone from the side.